What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the channel Fist and Fate. You already know what time it is. We're diving deep into one of the biggest potential matchups in boxing, Canelo Alvarez versus Terence "Bud" Crawford, two of the sport's pound for pound best, two dominant champions with very different styles, different paths, and legacies that have already been written in gold. But what happens when these two step into the ring? Recently, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, one of boxing's most explosive and talented fighters, broke down the fight and gave his opinion on who would come out on top. His answer didn't just raise eyebrows. It set the boxing world on fire, and we're about to unpack everything. Let's talk legacy. Let's talk skills. Let's talk the fight. And most of all, let's talk about who wins. Canelo Alvarez needs no introduction. The pride of Mexico, a four-division world champion, and arguably the face of boxing today. He's fought at 154, 160, 168, even 175 pounds, and has collected belts along the way. He's faced legends, contenders, brawlers, slick boxers, you name it. His resume is stacked with names like Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, Caleb Plant, Danny Jacobs, Billy Joe Saunders, and many more. What separates Canelo from most of his peers is not just his power or his pressure. It's his ability to evolve. Early in his career, he was known as a come-forward fighter with solid fundamentals and a big punch. But over the years, we've seen a much more complete version of Canelo. His defense has improved dramatically, especially his upper body movement. He's learned how to cut off the ring like a veteran. He doesn't waste shots. Every punch has a purpose. And when he goes to the body, he does it with surgical precision. Just ask Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo doesn't just beat people, he breaks them down, mentally, physically, emotionally. He grinds them out and leaves no doubt in the judges' minds. Then you've got Terence "Bud" Crawford, the man from Omaha, Nebraska, who's taken the boxing world by storm with a completely different approach. Crawford isn't just undefeated, he's unchallenged. He's one of the most adaptable, intelligent fighters we've seen in the modern era. Orthodox southpaw, it doesn't matter. Crawford can switch stances mid-fight and be just as dangerous from either side. He's got power in both hands, phenomenal footwork, excellent timing, and the kind of killer instinct that can't be taught. Look at what he did to Errol Spence Jr., a guy many thought would be his toughest test. Crawford not only beat him, he outclassed him. He took away Spence's jab, neutralized his pressure, and timed him perfectly round after round. That wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Crawford proved that he's not just a great welterweight, he's a generational talent. Now here's where things get real interesting. Gervonta "Tank" Davis was recently asked who he thought would win in a fight between Canelo and Crawford. Tank didn't hesitate. He said, and I quote, "Crawford is just different. He's too smart, too sharp. I think he beats Canelo." And boom, just like that, the debate caught fire again. Because this isn't just some random fan or analyst making that claim. This is Tank Davis, a world champion, a knockout artist, someone who understands what it takes to compete at the highest level. When he says Crawford beats Canelo, it carries weight. It makes you stop and think, could it really happen? Let's look at the facts. Canelo is the naturally bigger man. He's been fighting at 168 and 175. Crawford's last fights have been at 147. Physically, there's a real gap. In terms of mass, power, and durability, Canelo has the edge. But boxing isn't just about size. It's about skills, timing, IQ, adaptability. And that's where Crawford shines. Crawford has shown time and time again that he can adjust to any style. Pressure fighter, counter puncher, volume puncher, he figures them out. He finds your weaknesses and exploits them. He doesn't just win rounds, he takes over fights. And once he smells blood, he goes for the kill. Canelo, on the other hand, thrives against guys who stand in front of him. When you try to outslug him, you're playing his game. He's got a granite chin, explosive counters, and a body attack that drains the energy from his opponents. But when Canelo has faced slick boxers who use movement and angles, we've seen him struggle. Remember Floyd Mayweather? Canelo was young, but Floyd made him look average. Erislandy Lara? That was a close, controversial decision. and Lara gave him all kinds of problems with his footwork and jab. Even Billy Joe Saunders had moments before his eye socket gave in. Crawford brings a level of movement and versatility that could cause Canelo serious issues. He's not going to stand still. He's going to pivot, switch stances, feint, disrupt Canelo's rhythm, and try to keep the fight on the outside. The key question becomes, can Crawford hurt Canelo? Because if he can't, then eventually Canelo's pressure will close the gap. He'll get to the body, wear Crawford down, and turn the tide. But if Crawford can land clean, sharp counters, and get Canelo's respect early, then we've got a real chess match on our hands. Another angle to consider is activity. Canelo tends to fight in spurts. He's economical with his punches, especially in the later rounds. Crawford, on the other hand, gets stronger as the fight progresses. He starts slow, figures you out, then turns up the heat. Against Canelo, starting slow might be risky. You give Canelo early rounds and you're digging yourself into a hole. But then again, if Crawford starts strong and builds momentum, Canelo could be the one forced to chase the fight, which isn't his preferred style. Tank Davis saying Crawford is too smart and too sharp speaks to something a lot of hardcore fans have noticed. Crawford's fight IQ is next level. He doesn't just react, he sets traps, manipulates distance, and baits his opponents into making mistakes. And once he sees a pattern, he exploits it over and over. Canelo is smart too, no doubt. But his adjustments are more physical. He'll change pace, cut off the ring better, dig to the body more. Crawford's adjustments are mental. He changes the entire rhythm of the fight. Then we've got the mental side. Both guys are composed, focused, and icy under pressure. Canelo has been a star since he was a teenager. He's fought under the brightest lights, carried the expectations of a nation, and delivered. Crawford doesn't have the same level of media hype, but he carries that same chip on his shoulder. He's been doubted for years. People said he hadn't fought the top guys, that he was overrated, and then he destroyed Spence. That kind of mentality is dangerous. It fuels him. He fights like he has something to prove every time he steps in the ring. That kind of hunger, that quiet intensity, can be a game changer. Let's say the fight happens at 168. Crawford bulks up, maintains his speed and stamina, and keeps his reflexes sharp. Is that enough to deal with Canelo's power? And can he stay mobile for 12 rounds without gassing out? On the flip side, if Canelo has to deal with someone faster, sharper, and more elusive than anyone he's faced in years, can he keep his composure and make the right adjustments? These are the unknowns that make this fight so fascinating. It's not just two champions going at it, it's two geniuses, two high-level tacticians playing a brutal game of chess in real time. Another element to consider is how judges would see the fight. Canelo has had close fights where people questioned the scoring. If Crawford outlands him with sharp, clean shots, but Canelo lands the heavier, flashier punches, how will that be judged? Will Crawford have to dominate to get a decision? Will Canelo get the benefit of the doubt in close rounds? These are the kinds of variables that make this a high-risk, high-reward fight for both guys. And what about the fans? This is a global event. Mexico versus America. Power versus precision. A stylistic clash with legacy on the line. It's the kind of fight that draws eyes from casuals and hardcore fans alike. It's not about belts, it's about pride, about history, about who's the best. That's why Gervonta Davis's comments hit so hard, because he sees the greatness in both men, but he's putting his chips on Crawford. That's not trolling. That's respect. That's insight from someone who knows exactly what it feels like to be in the ring with elite talent. So what's the verdict? If you ask 10 people, you might get 10 different answers. Some will say Canelo's size and power will be too much. Others will argue that Crawford's movement and timing will carry him to a decision. Some will say Crawford gets stopped to the body. Others will say he frustrates Canelo and wins clean. And you know what? They're all valid takes. That's what makes this matchup so special. It's not predictable. It's not clear-cut. It's a fight where both guys would have to be at their absolute best to win. At the end of the day, this is the type of fight that defines legacies. If Canelo beats Crawford, he proves that he's not just the best at 168. He can handle speed, IQ, and adversity. If Crawford beats Canelo, he jumps into all-time great territory. Moving up 2 weight classes and beating the face of boxing? That's history. That's legacy cemented. And as fans, all we can do is hope the stars align and we get to witness it. So now it's your turn. Who do you think wins this super fight? Are you riding with the power, experience, and composure of Canelo Alvarez? Or do you believe in the speed, sharpness, and brilliance of Terence Crawford? And what do you make of Tank Davis's pick? Does he see something the rest of us are missing? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you love this kind of breakdown, and make sure you're subscribed because we've got more fire content coming your way. This is EsNews bringing you the realest boxing talk on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep your gloves up.